I'm trying to turn a dice toss from a redhead to a brunette. That's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to go from redhead to brunette. Sorry, Chris, but that's what's happening here. I don't need all the crazy in my life. If you think you can influence a dice, you got to be absolutely perfect on everything. The grip, the release, the velocity, the angles that you're throwing at, where it's landing, how fast it's landing, where on the diamonds it hits, if there's landmines in your way, if you're sweating, if it's cold in the room, how bouncy your table is. It's a ridiculous amount of things you have to beat. Talk about dice influence and the goals of dice influence. And I did a series a while back, 4 or 5 episodes worth. I've got 4 or 5 more episodes to do in that series because there's a lot more research to be done still. I don't think I've quite cracked the code on this thing yet, but I do want to show you here what some of the findings are and why I throw the way I throw. And people have seen me throw the chopper. And the reason why I'm doing this now is because people have seen me throw it live. And every time I throw this live, I get the same cross-eyed, like, what the hell did you just do with the dice? Look, people like, that looked like magic. What was that? So let's talk about it. First of all, is dice influence futile or fertile? What is it? Is it a thing we can actually do or not? And I want to clarify the goals. And this is coming back to the dice control series that I did. Everybody that I've talked to agrees on the goal. Michael Feldman, I just talked to in Vegas, who's one of the teachers at Golden Touch, to guys who just do it online. Ed and George and everybody else. So the goal is a consistent 6 or 7. These guys track a thing called SRR, sevens to rolls ratio. What they want is a consistent 6 or 7 rolls between sevens. That's it. It's not like they're trying to go for 40 and have these monsters. They happen, but that's not the goal. The goal is to be consistently 6 or 7 so you can bet in that window. That's really the goal of a true dice thrower. And they want more productive numbers for me. So obviously in that 6 or 7 rolls, you'd like to see more box numbers or more horn numbers if you're betting the field. They're looking to get in pockets. So it's a pocket of 6 or 7 numbers all the time. That's the whole goal, right? And a whole bunch of stuff has to go right. And you can see I got it here on screen. What's got to go right? You got to beat 3 or 4 collisions, and they're really car accidents, right? You've seen the slow motion. There's the table impact. There's the wall impact. There's coming back to the table. At least 3 collisions happen on every single throw. They're all violent. They're all car accidents. You got to avoid, or at least live in the world where those are the truth, right? The 7 itself, we know, easiest combination of dice to roll, not just because it rolls 6 times out of 36. The way that the 7s manifest themselves make it the easiest thing to roll. I'll show you that again as a reminder in a minute here. And everything's got to be perfect. If you're going to be any kind of a dice influencer, everything I'm about to show you has to be perfect. Any one little bit of this goes off the rails, the whole thing is out the window, right? So if one bit of this thing doesn't work, you're a random throw. So if you think you can influence a dice, you got to be absolutely perfect on everything. The grip, the release, the velocity, the angles that you're throwing at, where it's landing, how fast it's landing, where on the diamonds it hits, if there's landmines in your way, if you're sweating, if it's cold in the room, how bouncy your table is. It's a ridiculous amount of things you have to beat in order to kind of have any shot at all at dice influence being fertile grounds for you, okay? Now, I throw a throw called the chopper. And I throw the chopper for a couple of reasons, okay? First of all, we acknowledge this. Every throw is random. Well, let's get that out the door. Every throw is random. There's nobody who's not throwing randomly, okay? George from CY, all these guys. Every throw is random. It's about the degree of random. What can you control? And here's what I'm going to tell you what my goals are when I throw the chopper toss. And again, I throw the chopper because it helps me do these things. It helps me, number one, on a scale of 1 to 10, I can dial back to a 1 the things that I can control, right? If the velocity that you throw at is a 0 to a 10, I can make it a 1. I can consistently keep my velocity under my control. I can consistently have the same launch angle and the same attack angle and the same velocity. I can dial all those things back to a factor of 1. Whereas if they were a factor of 10, if I was just hucking them as hard as I can, everything's a 10, then you're 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, the degree of randomness becomes exponential. I'm trying to reduce it down to factors of 1 where I can, okay? I think the chopper toss, the way I throw it, helps me get more things down to a level 1 than any other throw that I know. And that's why I throw it. That's one of the reasons why. The second reason why, and I'll show you here in a minute, is comfort level, okay? I think this toss lets me dial back to a 5 from 10, the things that I can't control. In other words, what happens when it hits the table, the back wall, and the back again, right? I think this toss helps me reduce those from a 10 factor to a 5 factor. Again, I'm still random. Once it leaves my hand, it's random, right? I'm trying to sort of say, well, how much crazy is there gonna be? I'm trying to reduce the amount of crazy in my life, right? So I'm basically I'm trying to turn a dice toss from a redhead to a brunette. That's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to go from redhead to brunette. Sorry, Chris, but that's what's happening here. I don't need all the crazy in my life, right? I want some, what is her name from Charlie's Angels? Is it Jane? I forget her name, the brunette. That's what I want. Give me some Veronica, okay? Give me some Veronica. And it gives me consistency. And when I have consistency, I have confidence. When I have confidence, I'm happy. When I'm happy, I'm not an asshole. When I'm not an asshole, I play better. All this boils down to what I want to do is be comfortable at the table, right? That's really what I bring this all back to. I want to be comfortable at the table, okay? So here again are the things that we can control. I'm actually going to go to the table here and talk through some of these things with you at the table. I'll keep the words up here. I'm going to talk through some of the things that I see that are controllable as we go through it, okay? So one of these things is going to be launch angle, attack angle, height, velocity. These are all the same to me. They're all elements of the same thing, which is really, and I'll use the big dice here to sort of walk us through some of how I look at this thing, right? And let's go ahead and get set up here with the hard way set, just to kind of give you, I don't know, something visual to look at, okay? So I can control the angle at which my dice leave the table, right? I can control, and again, in a chopper situation, we're vertical, right? I can control the angle at which they leave. I can control, therefore, how the angle is when they come back down to the table. How high I throw them, how hard I throw them, how the distance I throw them at, and the spin rate. Now, here's the thing. With other throws, I think the spin rate, is an important thing that nobody really talks about. With the normal par toss, what you're looking for, they say, is one and a half rotations, one full rotation and a half a rotation, and you got to get them to land perfectly flat, right? That's the par toss requires this perfection of, roll and land exactly flat. Why do we want them to land flat? The landing spot is important, but the landing flat is important because depending on the angle at which you're throwing and the speed at which you're throwing, you got to slow them down, right? And the way that physics works is this: when an object has energy in it, right, you have to get rid of the energy somehow, right? And with a flat landing, and I'll try and do it here. If I can do it on this, maybe this makes a little more sense if I can show you. Let's see, what angle, there we go. If you land these things flat, where all the surface of the die hits the table at the same time, the energy dissipates a little quicker, right? Because you have all the energy on the whole flat surface. It smacks into the table and it goes away. The energy gets transferred from the dice to the table and they slow down by a factor of 6, right? Because 1/6 of the surface of the die is hitting the table flatly. If the dice land like this, right? Or even like, I'll show you like that, even just like a hair off of flat, the only thing that's touching the surface is the edge of the dice, which means no energy gets transferred to the table, right? That's when you see them skitter all over the place and go super fast, right? If you're throwing par and the dice don't land exactly flat, you're a random thrower. 100% random throw. There's zero, you got 0 out of all the practice that you did. If they don't land flat perfectly every single time, if they land like this, or God forbid like that on a point or something like that, forget about it. You're random, right? You got rid of 0 energy. They're gonna hit the wall at an unknown angle. They're gonna bounce back off the wall at an unknown angle, and you're random, right? It takes perfection to throw the par toss, like absolute perfection to throw this toss, to throw the backwards toss. In addition to that, think about this from a physics standpoint. The par toss has your dice flying backwards while moving forward. So they're actually spinning in the opposite direction with which they're flying, which means when they hit the ground, something has to happen. They're gonna be actually flying like this, hit the ground, and they're gonna change directions when they hit. There's no way that a thing can spin in one direction, hit flat, and keep going in the same direction, right? They're gonna still move forward, but the rotation changes. They're gonna go from spinning, hitting, and they're gonna go cockeyed. If they're not flat, they're gonna go sideways. If they're flat, they're gonna go back into the wall this way here, right? The par toss has problems, physics problems with it, where the dice, again, are moving one way and spinning opposite. That flat landing causes a car wreck. That's the problem with the par toss. That's why I think it's impossible. From a physics, I've had people who are physicists look at this thing, physics majors look at this thing, go, how on earth does the physics of that work? It doesn't work. Things are going in too many opposite directions for it to work at all. That's why I think that toss has so many problems. And, you know, from a physical standpoint, and I'll show you my throwing stance here in a minute. It's a painful throw to make anyway. And it's hard if you think about controlling the velocity, angles, and everything else when you're throwing backwards. When you're throwing in a configuration that your body's not supposed to be doing. Nothing in the world that you do goes in this direction. It's completely orthogonal to the way that the physiology of a person works. So enter the chopper. Okay, enter the chopper. And the chopper, I'll show you with this and with regular dice too. But if we take these dice here, I'm just gonna take my dice and I set the hard ways and put them up on their ends. Now they're on top of one another, okay? And we'll look at it like this on the table. So here's how they hit the table, okay? Like that. There we go, on camera. They're gonna land, be like this. The one thing I can do with the chopper that I can't do with a par toss is I can guarantee a couple things, okay? With par, I cannot guarantee a flat landing, okay? With par toss, with the old golden touch kind of toss, I can't guarantee what number is gonna be on the bottom, right? I'm spinning the dice, right? We're spinning them. I have no idea what one's gonna hit the bottom. There's no way to know which die hits the bottom of the table, right? With the chopper toss, I am guaranteed to know when I throw them like this and I see my ones on top and I spin them like this, I know with a virtual certainty that the sixes here will be on the bottom because I know I'm spinning them. I can guarantee you two things. One, how fast I'm throwing it. I can guarantee you two, to me, a better degree where they're gonna land on the table. And three, I can guarantee you that the six or whatever number I want will always be on the bottom when those dice hit the table. And I can guarantee you that they're gonna be spinning in a certain direction when that happens. Okay, I know with a certainty, I can control the angle, the attack angle, the height at which I throw them, how fast I throw them, how far I throw them, how fast I'm spinning them, and I can control the landing spot. More importantly, I can control with 100% certainty the die that's on the bottom when they land, and I can guarantee they're gonna land flat. The thing that this toss gives me is all those guarantees. I guarantee you, six is on the bottom, I guarantee a flat landing, and I guarantee they're gonna be 3 inches from the back wall every single time. I can guarantee that with the chopper toss. I cannot guarantee that with the par toss, okay? Rarely when I throw this toss do they land cockeyed. I do. I'll screw it up. I'll tell you when I do it, right? Oh God, that was bad, right? And they'll land cockeyed because I leaned in wrong. 90% of the time, they're landing just like this, one on top of another with the sixes on the bottom every single time. If you can guarantee that, if I can guarantee height, angle, landing zone, and what's gonna be on the bottom, I got a big part of this beat. When I told you I wanna get everything from a 10 to a 1, that's how I do it. I get from a 10 to a 1 because I can control that stuff. Now I'm gonna switch camera views on you here and show you the action in the back wall that I'm looking for and tell you why this is important to me. So let's go to the back wall view. So different camera angle. It's not super clear, so I'm gonna try and walk through this. Now again, let's look at a couple of toss types. If it's the par toss and they're spinning backwards into the back wall like this, and we land in here, right? What's gonna happen, they're gonna be spinning backwards and moving forwards, landing hopefully flat, but then they separate and they hit the wall and they're probably gonna spin forward from that point forward. They're gonna change their attitude once they hit the deck. Sorry about that, I'm gonna move my back wall there. With the chopper style toss, here's what we're gonna see. They're gonna come into the wall spinning, and I'll just do one, because I can't control two big dice. They're gonna be spinning in this direction. We're gonna hit the deck flat. And it's gonna hit the deck flat and keep spinning. There's nothing to make it not stay in the same direction, right? Par toss, because you're moving forward and spinning backwards, you're gonna have a direction change. With this toss, they're spinning the whole time like this, when they hit and they skip, and they're going to skip off the surface like you skip a stone off the water, right? It's going to hit, it's going to skip and keep spinning. It's going to hit the wall. The wall's not going to change that either. When it hits the back wall, it's still moving forward, it's still spinning, and what you see all the time with this toss, it hits the back wall and it keeps on spinning off the back wall. People who watch me throw this throw ask me all the time when they're on the end of the table looking down, they say, how on earth are you keeping the same die visible the whole time? They're watching this thing land on the one, hit the wall, and land again with the one still showing. I get with the chopper toss a guarantee of the 6 hitting, of it hitting the wall, and the 6 hitting a second time. Literally 85 to 100% of the time, I'm seeing that 6 hit the deck twice when I throw the hard ways. When I'm throwing from here, I spin it up, it hits the wall, and it hits again on the same number. Tell me you can do that with the par toss. Tell me your par toss can hit the deck, hit the wall, hit the deck a second time, be spinning in the same direction, and guarantee that the one you want on the bottom is still there. That's the chopper. Now, after that, all bets are off, right? Once we get to here, God knows what happens. It's going to roll over, it's going to do its thing, and you're basically random again, right? But if I'm going slow enough, the amount of times that it rolls around, the amount of random that we get, I dial that back from a 10 to a 5, right? If I can hit low enough on the back wall, I can reduce the number of spins I get. If I can hit, on an up angle, I can have it slam back down again. There's where the chopper, like every other throw, goes sideways. It's all random. Once it hits the back wall, it's generally random, but I can guarantee you, when I throw this thing, the number on the bottom, I can guarantee you what number is showing on the wall, and I can guarantee you what number is still up on that second hit, almost every single time. That's where the chopper, to me, surpasses every other throw, because I can eliminate some of the degrees of randomness that you normally have to fight, okay? That's, I think, the number one reason for it. And I'm gonna switch cameras one more time and show you something here too, because you've got to see the release of it. So let me go to this view here. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna go to that view. I'm gonna move the camera out, and hopefully you can see, you can't see all of this. Let me try and get in front so I can show you what I mean. And this is the reason why I fell in love with this toss. And again, I watched this from the Cashier's Cage channel. That's where I first saw this toss, on Cage's channel. And he's kind of the curator of this thing. He's been carrying the torch for the chopper for a long time. And he'll tell you, just like anybody else will, that this toss originated as a way to cheat, right? Back in the old dice games, this toss was initially a way to spin the dice so fast with the curved edge dice that you've all seen, like the Monopoly dice, where you can make them spin in place almost and never have them roll over. It's actually a way to cheat. He's adapted that toss to the tables. I've taken it a different direction. I'll show you the difference between he and I. Now here's the thing. When you throw the par toss, let me get another set of dice here. And again, here's personal to me. I'll get the par toss set up, right? You got your dice, and again, I know you can't see, but here's the configuration. Your arm is basically straight. The back of my hand is pointing at the wall, and you're gonna go straight out, right? That's the typical thing. Well, I've had 3 shoulder surgeries on this arm here. So this motion, having my wrist turned this way, rotates the rotator cuff. And for me, that's very painful. And I actually have a limited range of motion with this arm. I can't do this very well. It hurts for me. The chopper though, check this out. Instead of being backhand with the wrist turned, you attack the chopper straight down like this, and my wrist is actually pointing, my wrist points across the table. So when I grab the chopper, the back of my hand actually points at the dealer in front of me, which means when I throw it, look at the difference in the arm angle here, right? My arm, I'm not rotated like this where the rotator cuff hurts. For me, my wrist, the back of my wrist here, instead of the back of my hand, the back of my wrist points to the back wall. I'm gonna get over here, this way here. There we go. So the back of my wrist points to the back wall the whole way through. My fingers are always pointed at the dealer. So for me, range of motion wise and pain wise, that's the biggest win for me. You talk about being comfortable when you throw. This to me is very uncomfortable. When I'm backwards like this, and my arm is like that, and my wrist is rotated, again, towards the back wall like this, that right there actually hurts. So for me, the fact that my wrist can be pointed straight at the dealer when I throw it, like that, I never ever turn my hand like this, and I don't get the rotator cuff pain. So for me, when I found this toss, like, oh my God, I can throw without pain. And this, even when I'm just regular throwing, it hurts, right? So that's, to me, the two biggest wins for me that I got out of this toss were, one, all the controls that I get, and B, a lot less painful motion because of my arm. So that's sort of like, again, the genesis of where it came from. So let me zoom back in here and show you the grip and all that stuff, and I'll get back to you with where I do it. The table, there we go. Not that one, we want the table with the keynote. All right, let's look at the grip closer. And again, I'll set this up with you. I'll show you the hard ways way. And the reason why I like the hard way set, I'll show you in a minute here, is I like to watch the ones spin when I'm throwing. So I basically set like this. I do the 6s on the outside and the 4s on top. That's how I learned it. And then I just take the dice and I literally flip them on their edge like that. So you go from inline 4s like so, just flip it straight up onto its edge. And so I'm looking down, whoops, right here, at the 1s. I'm looking down at the 2 1s, like that. I grip them, come straight on top, and I grip it on the points. So let me get into the camera here, I'll show you. My grip is that. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see it well enough. I grip the points, just like so. If I can get the right angle for you, like that. So I can like rotate them in my hands like so. And then again, the 6s are on the bottom, and I got my middle finger. So I'm just grabbing it with my thumb and my middle finger, exactly like, whoops, there goes my chips, exactly as though I were snapping my fingers. So if you can snap your fingers, like so, that's the grip. The grip is literally grabbing the dice on the points, and the release is snapping your fingers. When I throw it, you can't hear it, of course, but I snap my fingers. That's all I do. I just snap my fingers with the dice in between them, and that's how I get my spin. I spin them pretty damn hard. I know Cage doesn't. I spin them relatively hard. Now, when I throw this toss, versus the way the Cage throws it, he likes to throw them a little lower, have them land about 30 or so inches away, right, on the C or so of the come, essentially, and sort of skip and trickle into the wall, right? Very low energy, and let's see if I can get a different table view for you. Hold on a second here. Let's go back to this view here. I'll go to this. Let's see if that view works well enough. And try and watch the landing zone if you can. I'll try and get him to where he does it. And he's throwing him low, and they trickle to the back wall. Okay, they're a little farther apart here. You want them about that far apart when they land, but he's gonna let them bounce once or twice even and sort of trickle into the back wall. Super low energy, right? Fulfilling the requirement of hitting the back wall, right? But with very, very low energy. That's the cashier's Cage way of doing that. And again, the spin rate is important, right? You gotta have a decent amount of spin because you want them to skip. If you're not spinning them fast enough, they will catch and they will turn. If they're spinning quick, they will hit the deck and skip. They'll hit the deck and skip into the back wall. You want this to be like a rock skipping on the surface of the water. That's why there's a good spin rate to me, okay? I throw them a little bit higher. For me, I have a hard time controlling my energy from here. I don't have enough control. I like to have them land actually down in here. I'm looking for a kill shot within an inch or two of the back wall, and I'm trying to have them skip while still spinning into that bottom row of diamonds. I want to hit the bottom diamond if I can. The second row at worst is what I'm going for. Again, trying to reduce the amount of random that I get. I'm trying to force a flat landing. I'm trying to force them to keep spinning, hit the diamond, come down, and still be spinning. That's what I really would love to see. Perfect shot for me is 2 1s on top, right? Snake eyes. You'll notice when I throw, and I'm throwing the chopper well, when I do this, I will see a lot of 1s and 6s, more so than most people do. When I throw this, because of the spin rate, because I got the 6s and 1s top and bottom of my die, I tend to see a ton of 1s and 6s when I throw. I'll get a single flip over of the die, or I'll get them to stay where they are. I see more of this, 1s and 6s, okay? When I'm seeing more 1s, which happens to me quite a bit, that bottom die will stay put, you'll see that I'm going to be here 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to be in the 4, 5, and 6 range a lot because again, with a 1, you can't roll an 8, 9, or 10, right? I'll be down here quite a bit with the 1s, okay? If I'm more 6 heavy, you'll see up in here, I'll get more of the higher numbers, right? By and large though, I find myself in the middle here, in the middle numbers because one or the other will rotate over once, okay? So I'm really, that's how I do it. So again, I'll give you the set again. It's the hard way set. Where's my thing? Rotate it up, grab on the points, and when I throw, let me get the other camera so you can see it again. I know I'm bouncing around quite a bit here, but it's hard to demonstrate this in 45 minutes and get it right. But when I throw, again, it's to me a little bit higher angle, so I'll exaggerate it here. But when I throw them, I'm up at about almost even arm length. The key to this thing is when you throw, you're leaned over the table, and I actually am over top of my shoulder as I do this. I'm like straight down here. You gotta make sure that they are flat when they leave your hand. They spin flat so they land flat. If you get your angle where you're here instead of here, right, you end up with this. Let me get the, I'll go over here. Right, so if you don't throw them straight up and down, they won't land flat, right? If you throw them and your angle is jacked, they'll land on the corner, and that's when they go sideways on me. So whenever you see my throws go and they split and they go completely cattywampus, it's because they didn't land flat. If they don't land flat, you're gonna get this and this, and they're gonna go sideways, right? So land them flat. I like a higher angle. I like them to come down flat and land hard. So if I do this from here, it's gonna be hard for you to see but try and watch if you can. I like them to land up right at the back wall, like right at the very, very base of the back wall and hit right into it. And again, I'm too close here. I'll be back here normally, a little farther away. So this is about 9 feet away. And I can control almost exclusively where they hit on the table. And that's what I'm looking for. So there's my, look at that. If you can see it right there. Well, you can't. Let me change my camera angle so you can see what I just did. Let's go to the table with Keynote. That's what I just threw. That throw right there was literally 2 1s because they hit the back wall and smack dead died, both die up. That's what I look for. That's to me that's a perfect toss, right? And I get that more often than you probably think I do when I throw this way. So that is my take on the chopper, right? It's definitely, for me, it's a hard way. And again, I'll either throw the hard ways with the 1s up, or my preferred way is with a 9 up. So it's a 1 on the bottom and a 4 on top. That's my preferred set. For me, just comfort level seeing it. I like looking at the 4 spinning in the air. I like looking at the 1 in the air too. Ultimately, what I'm looking for is that flat sound. I want that landing to go smack, and I want them to hit that back wall and go literally nowhere. Look at that. I mean, it's a 7, but if you can see those die, I guess I can't. Well, I'll change cameras so you can see how they landed. I want you to see this. This is an important piece of this thing. Those die landed. It's a 7, and it's okay of that, right? But they're touching still, and they're only about 1 inch from the wall, right? And that's what I'm looking for, is to get them to where I'm in such control of where they hit and how much energy they got off that back wall. That's what I want, right? So let's go ahead and I'll set up again. I'll do another couple throws here. Give me a second here. Here we go. There's a 6 and a 1. And again, the result is one thing, but I'm looking for 6s and 1s, right? I want to see lots of 6s and 1s. That tells me how I'm throwing, right? I can adjust one of them, right, just by moving them around on my hand. But when I'm seeing 6s and 1s and I'm seeing them close together, that's really what I care about. Again, you can't control the outcome. You can control what you can control, which is how hard you're throwing them, how high they are, where they landed, and how they landed. That's all I can control. After it hits the back wall, it's in God's hands. That was a terrible throw, but it's a 3-1-4. That throw landed here, out here. instead of back in here. Again, I'm talking and trying to do it all at the same time, so it's not perfection like I'd like, but that's sort of what I'm looking for when I throw this thing. Hope this is all making somewhat decent sense to you. And here we go. Let's do one more. Hit the back wall directly. 6-5 yo. So I'm gonna keep throwing here, and I'll let you guys ask questions. I know there's conversations about other topics going on in chat. There always is. But if you got a specific question or something you want to see me talk about with this, please ask. There's a perfect throw. 5-1. That's another 5-2-7. But look at how nice those things landed. Right? Hit the wall. They were still spinning in the air, and they landed exactly flat again. Right? It's got the extra rotation off that one die, but who cares? To me, it's about the action off the wall. That's what I care about, is that wall action. Another couple tosses in here. Let's see. I'm looking for anybody else that's asking questions. If I just do I'm going to just do a PC in front of it so I can find them. Otherwise, there's a million chats in there. Let's see. Do a strategy roll with a choppy toss. Yes, absolutely. I will definitely do hopping bets with a choppy toss. Oh my gosh, no. I'm not I'm not a hop better. I don't get into that kind of a groove. Now, if you are getting into the groove though, Duracell, and I will answer this question. Excuse me. If I am seeing a preponderance of a number, like let's say, for example, let's just pretend. Let's go back to the hard way set, right? If I'm throwing the hard ways and I'm here and I'm seeing a 1. Oh, you can't. I guess I got to go here. There we go. I'll put it here, I guess. If I'm seeing a 1 show up, let's say that 40% of the time when I'm throwing it, my bottom die is staying put and I'm seeing a 1. That might not be the worst time to hop stuff that have 1s on them, right? If your dice are working for you that way, right? If they're not working that way, that would be a dumb move to make. But I can totally see why your question was asked. That's an important thing to kind of keep looking at there. So I'll keep throwing here while we see questions. Yeah, so Vince is saying this, and a lot of people say this, right? It's just everything's random, right? I'm not disputing that. Everything is random. All I'm trying to do is control what I can control. And frankly, Vince, and for everybody else who watches this, even if I said to you, yeah, 100% it's a random throw. I'm doing nothing to influence the outcome of these dice. If I set them fast, right, and I throw them this way that I throw them, and I'm doing okay with it, right? For me, it's comfort, right? For me, I feel like my arm doesn't hurt. I feel like I'm doing something good, and I'm just kind of in a groove, in a rhythm. Then there's no harm, no foul to it, right? As long as I'm not saying I'm a great thrower and I'm going to bet 640 across every single time, right? There's another 1 on the bottom die again. You can see here, the bottom die stayed put. Hits the wall and stays put on the 1. That happens to me a lot. That bottom die will stick on the 1 so often. But yeah, it is all random. I have no dispute there. It's about controlled random, and it's about, again, comfort for me throwing the dice. And I like to be in that good zone. Another one. That bottom die, again, stays on the 1. The top die is kind of hitting high on the back wall and becoming something different. But the bottom die, there's 3 throws in a row where the bottom die was a 1. And again, that's a thing that I actually see more often. I haven't documented it. It's just kind of seat of the pants feel, how I see these things working out for me, okay? 3-2-5, that was a pretty good throw. This one here came off a little too far, but they're close together. All I want is good action back there, right? So there's that. Let's see what else is being said here. Am I twisting my wrist deliberately to give the rotation? No. I'm gonna put that up there. So I'm not twisting my wrist. I'm gonna try and go back to the other camera. It's hard, I know it's hard to see. If I go to this view here, let me get these dice out of the way for you. And again, right now I'm close. I'm only 6 feet away here. Not on my regular throwing station, but when I throw these, let's get these things set back up. my wrist stays basically true the whole way. So I'll be, my back of my hand points to the dealer. Look at the back of my hand. And when I throw it, right, my back of my hand is still pointing at the dealer. If I take a step to this way here, you'll see that as I'm here. So it's, again, I don't fit on camera very well, but when I throw it, it's that. It's literally that. Sometimes my hand will end up like this at the end because just, you know, momentum will take your hand and your wrist will twist, but I'm not twisting it on purpose. I'm literally just going like that. You'll see that my hand ends up with my fingers having done the flick motion. That's it. That's the entirety of the throw, like that. Yeah, right. You could pay me to teach the roll. That's funny. The casinos don't give a shit. They really don't care if you're trying to do this kind of stuff. They know. They got the back wall, right? If there's no back wall, then it's all fine, right? It's all fine and good. There's a back wall there. Like I said, I can control up to the second hit. I know that I can get to, oh, sorry, you can't see me. I know that I can get to where the second hit the table, hit the wall, hit the table. I'm still seeing the dice I want to see. I can get to that point. That's actually pretty cool. And that's, you know, more than anybody else can probably say as we do it. So what else do we have here? I do not want them to land stacked. That's the other question here. They should separate, right? The way that Cashier's Cage throws it, again, they're going to be, he says keep them married, which is true to a point, right? But when you throw them, there's no way to not have them separate a little bit. One is going to go a little bit ahead of the other one, and that's okay. They're going to kind of follow each other in. And when I throw them, they end up going sideways by about one die. So they fly side by side in the air sideways. If they hit in the air, forget about it, right? Once they kiss, all bets are off with everything. So, Vince, I don't know your Hollywood toss, but maybe you could show it to me. I don't know. I like to experiment with this stuff. You know, to me, it's fun to look at the physics of it. And like, as another example, the toss, that's the forward spin toss is fun too, right? The forward spin toss where you roll them like a bowling ball and they just tumble into the back wall, like, you know, oh my, no, you can't see. The rolling toss or the forward spin toss, where you literally, again, grab the points and bowl them like forward, and they just kind of roll into the back wall, and they kind of steamroll, pile drive into the back wall. Again, the momentum of the dice is interesting to me. The physics of the rolling dice, the chopper where they're spinning in a direction and moving forward, the forward spin where they're spinning forward and moving forward, changes the action off the back wall. The par toss where it's all going backwards and forward at the same time, that's a shit show. Because you're moving forward and spinning backwards, the best thing that can happen is that they die right here. What happens almost every single time is the car wreck that you see in slow motion, because they're going to be going, spinning and moving in opposite directions. They're going to hit and they're going to scatter. There's no way for them not to scatter when they hit. The way that I throw it, when they're spinning and they hit while they're spinning in that same direction, it's the exact motion that you see when you throw a rock on the water. They skip and they're still spinning. They hit the wall and they're still spinning. They come down and they're still spinning in the exact same direction with the exact same configuration. That to me trumps anything you can do throwing with a backwards rotation. The backwards rotation to me is you can't stop the dice with any kind of control throwing them backwards. I don't care what you say. That's the way that I see it. From a physics standpoint, I've broken these things down in slow motion so many times. This toss and the forward spin toss are the only ways that you have any measure of control over what die is on top and bottom when they hit the wall. That's it. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. It works for me. Folks who have played with me have watched me throw. They've seen me average 10 plus the way I throw it this way here. I'm not going to ever be a monster thrower. I'm not going to typically be a 0.7 out guy. That's just the way that it goes. So for me, that's how it works. I've been doing this for a while. And again, I learned it by watching Cashier's Cage's channel, breaking down what he does. I've watched his videos at like 1/3 speed to try and break down how he's doing it. I'm a student of this stuff, and I think it's fascinating. That people try it, B, that people think it can be done, and C, watching the physics of it. Again, you know me, I'm a student, right? I like to watch the physics. Whether it's possible, no idea. I can tell you that I like to believe it's possible, so I try it, and I know that I can control those things at the top there. I can control how high, how far, how hard. I can control what shows on the bottom, what shows on top. I can control 2 or 3 of the collisions that happen. I can control all that stuff with this toss. It doesn't cause me any shoulder pain because of the way that my wrist is rotated, and it makes me happy to throw it. And when I'm happy, I'm fun to play with. And he will tell you, I'm kind of a fun guy. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Where do we lose control? Right there. I told you, we lose control on every impact. Hit the table, hit the wall, hit the table. Keep rolling. You're random at that point, right? If you can have the energy control to have those 4 impacts not be so hard, you have a shot at maybe avoiding the 7. Maybe you have a shot. I'll take my chances in a 10-mile-an-hour car accident versus one on the freeway. Let's put it that way. There it is. That's my talk on the chopper. That's how I throw it. Again, I know that Cage throws it a little lower. He throws it with more skip to it. I throw it a little higher. I'm trying to get that smack and control the spin into the wall. To me, the physics of the high velocity spin work for me. And that's again, the way that I throw it. So hope that answers all the questions about the chopper. I will do this as often as you guys want. I will break it down more. I don't have a good setup in here. I set my studio is set up for betting. So my cameras are up top so you can kind of see the tables from the top and the angle. It's not at all set up to show grip. I'm not at all set up to show velocity or height or anything else. So for me to show you the toss like George would do or like Ed would do from Roll to Win, I'm not set up for that yet. At some point, I'll have a bigger table in a bigger room and I can have 4 cameras going. Here in this studio, I don't have the room for that. So I can't give you any better view than just trying to break down my hands really close to you. And maybe this is helpful now that I'm sitting back at my desk again. And again, I'll set it up one more time for you here locally. There it is, super close, right? There is the toss. Again, on the points right there. I grab them. It's hard to like get there we go. I grab them on the points. See how I got the points grabbed? That's it, right? Stacked up on the point. That's the whole grip. So hope that was good. Oh yeah, I know it's controversial. And I'm not trying to like start a bunch of crap, right? The reason why I did this was because 2 reasons. One is I love Cage. I think Cage is a great guy. Cage, Waylon, all these guys, right? Super passionate, right? Cage goes every day and does his thing, talks smack, does his deal. I love it. Passionate about what he does. To me, controversy is the wrong word for this, right? This is the way I throw. And when people saw it, they were like, wow, that's interesting. How do you do that? And you can't teach it at a table, obviously. So I thought, let's just show you how I do it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I'm not hurting anybody. I can set my dice and throw them in 11 seconds. So no harm, no foul to you when you're playing with me. And matter of fact, when I'm setting my dice, I'm telling jokes most of the time. I'm bullshitting with everybody. I'm having a good old time. It impacts you 0 for me to throw this way. And if I happen to be okay that day, we all make a little bit of money. So there it is. I'm glad that you enjoyed the show. Hopefully what I said there makes a little bit of sense and inspires you to want some more. If you want more information on this, I'll link you to Cashier's Cage's channel. You should watch him play. I'll link you to there's actually a video on Garrison's channel, which is like all this dice cheating shit. It's actually a great video. It's like from like the 70s. And it's like all these guys showing like how they cheated, the dice throws back in the day before there was like a back wall, like how the old like street craps guys cheated. And you'll see the genesis of the throw, like where the helicopter toss came from was those days. They actually used to hold it like in their hands, like this. They would hold it like that and sort of flick it like this the old days. So again, the theory, the physics of it made sense until there was a back wall. The back wall fucks everything up, and it is what it is. So.